Today I've issued a precautionary advice regarding some water bodies in the Yellowknife area related to arsenic. As Chief Public Health Officer, I'm responsible to ensure that our residents and visitors are safe from public health hazards, including exposure to environmental contaminants. The advisory was prompted by results from two recent studies, one of which done by a researcher from the University of Ottawa that was released just a few weeks ago. But it comes, really from a body of knowledge that was derived from many other studies over the last 40 years in the area related to this issue. That's been a legacy from our gold mining era. The precautionary advice is based on information received to date, and I just want to say that it can change in the future. We know that there's our ongoing studies right now that are being done by various groups, and there will likely be more in the future, and we will continue to review the data as it comes in and adjust our advice accordingly. I've also invited some experts from the Department of ENR and from ITI, just so that they be available to help us answer some questions that you might have that are more technical, because I don't consider myself an expert in toxicology so it's good to have people that can support. So just on my left here, there's Aaron Kelly and Julian Canagan from Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And on my right is Chris Johnson from ITI. So thank you. I trust you will agree that the overarching good news from this advisory is actually that we can, for the most part, continue to enjoy the recreational opportunities that surround the city and make our way of life and quality of life one of the best, I think, in Canada, without undue concerns about risks of exposure to arsenic. In other words, it is my assessment that there are no significant public health risks for residents of Yellowknife, Delo, and Deda, and for our visitors, based on the available evidence that we have gone through. I also want to reiterate, I'm going to walk through this map with you, but just want to highlight again, emphasize that we have in the north, and certainly in Yellowknife as well, one of the highest quality drinking water, and that water is subject to ongoing testing and monitoring. And also that it's been our routine practice for as long as I can recall that we always advise people not to drink untreated raw water because there's concerns with bacterial contamination and other issues. So there's, that has nothing to do with the arsenic matter by itself, but that's, a routine practice. So the advisory is fairly brief. I think you've already seen it. And it is, there is a map that's attached to it that's behind me, and I'm just going to stand up and I want to walk you through some of its features, because it's really helps to provide the big picture around this issue. So this is the map here that we put the circle is really to highlight the areas that were subject of the latest studies. So that's basically an amalgamation of the data points that were collected from the University of Ottawa study and from the some work that was done by ENR in the recent past. And so we've basically flagged the data based on arsenic levels that we've assessed. So for example, the green dots represent water bodies where the water is below the arsenic level standard set by, or the maximum level set by drinking water standards in Canada. So that's, and as you can see, the majority of it's still the majority of the points remain green. And that includes many of the lakes and water bodies that, people use more commonly, like Prosperous Lakes and the larger parts as well. in these studies, there were no specific data sets for Yellowknife Bay, but because this is done by the city, for example, in Yellowknife Bay on a monthly basis, and at the entrance of the Yellowknife River, they do it at least annually based on our requirements under the Public Health Act. We have that data as well. The yellow dots are those that are above the drinking water guidelines, but that we feel remain safe for recreational use, because we have to understand that drinking water guidelines are based on a daily consumption over a period of 25, 30 years. So it's really, it provides that additional margin of safety. So we feel that occasional exposure in a recreational setting, unless it's your regular drinking water source, and it wouldn't be an issue for people accessing those parts. So you can see that so what we've identified as areas of concern is the ones that are red or dark red purple, or orange, red and purple, where we think some additional caution might be required, and that's really the focus of the advisory as it's been laid out. And as you can see from the map, it really targets a very smaller area, but certainly areas that are certainly with the bypass road are more accessible to people than they used to be in the past. And it includes also Frame Lake, which is in the middle of our city, which we knew from previous studies that there was higher levels of arsenic in sediment, but this study has further confirmed that, or reconfirmed that it is an ongoing issue in Frame Lake. So this is basically the gist of the advisory itself, and we have provided some questions and answers, but I don't think that some of this information will be a total surprise from most of us who've been living here in Yellowknife for a long time. But I think it's important that we be transparent and provide the information to incoming residents and visitors on the state of our living environment. And I encourage, I'd like to conclude my opening remarks by wanting to encourage all residents and visitors to continue making use of the outdoors opportunities that are around us and make Yellowknife such a great place to live. Our favorite camping grounds, fishing areas, and beaches remain great places to visit and enjoy with our family and friends.